All right, let's talk about Rivals for a minute, okay? So there have been a lot of stories popping up, and a lot of people essentially talking about how Rivals has been on a downward spiral, how the game is dying, and how the player counts aren't looking as good as they used to, which is to be expected, but the concern is definitely a legitimate concern. Apologies if there's a mess behind me. I'm moving right now, so when I get to my next apartment, I'm going to have a way nicer setup behind me. Anyway, let's move on and talk about this issue. So, a lot of people are starting to coin Rivals as kind of a dead game. I feel like I'm seeing way too many posts about this, and the phrase "dead game" is overused to all hell. People will use it for games that are well alive and have player counts. I know people like call For Honor a dead game, for example. You go in there during non-peak hours, you can find a game within a couple of minutes, right? So it's not really dead. And the same thing goes for Rivals, even more so. So, right off the bat, those concerns are nowhere near as bad as people are making them out to be. Rivals is well and alive, it's got its player base, and it's not going to dwindle its player count down to something where you won't be able to find a game. That's not going to happen. But there are actual issues that are happening. And so let's talk about this for a second. So, as of right now, let me close some of this stuff. As of right now, right, Rivals is sitting at around 31,500 right now at this moment when I'm taking this video, when I'm recording this. All right, 24-hour peak at around 83K. I remember last time I saw that it was around like 90K. I think that was like yesterday or 2 days ago. All-time peak, right? This many, a lot of all-time peak. So let's compare this to a couple of other games, right? There's Overwatch 2, all right, which is its direct rival. 26.4K players right now, less than 40K in the last 24 hours. Now, this is less than Rivals, not by a crazy amount, but it is definitely less. Rivals is a newer game with a lot more hype behind it, so that's how you can kind of make up for that gap. But assuming Rivals continues to fall a little bit, right, it's not really in a terrible place compared to its biggest rival, which is Overwatch 2. It's actually doing pretty well. It's almost it's over twice as much as its 24-hour peak player base as of right now. Now, this downward spiral or trend over the last 6 months is not ideal, right? If you look at something like Overwatch 2 over the last 6 months, right, it's pretty stagnant, gone up a little bit, continues to be stagnant, which means that they are making some efforts. We can compare this to Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty also has like a downward spiral. It's doing better than Call of Duty. Right, considering Call of Duty is a popular game, I know people like to meme on it these days, kind of rightfully so, but it is a very popular game, right? Call of Duty has always kind of been the bar that we gauge popularity with, and so, based on these standards, Rivals is doing just fine, player count-wise. That being said, this is not ideal. Now, a downward spiral in the first year is absolutely expected, and I think Rivals has actually proven itself unique in this way that downward spiral took a lot longer than other games for that to happen. I think Rivals didn't start seeing a downward spiral in its player count until like 3-4 months in. Most games see that happen like a month after launch. So that already tells us that Rivals was in a good place. So seeing that spiral happen, it's not even a spiral, seeing that downward trend happening now really isn't that unheard of or the biggest deal. People are going to fall off over time. That being said, it's not ideal, and there are some things that the Rivals devs are doing that I think is irking the player base, is making people not want to come back. I haven't been playing Rivals a lot lately, for sure. Like since post season 2, right? I haven't been playing too much. It's just like, I've lost a little bit of interest, and I'm going to go into why I think that is. There are way too many DPS heroes in this game. Way too fucking many. I made this video right here, or whatever video, right? I made a video a little while back talking about how there are too many DPS heroes in this game. It was just a very brief video touching up on it. I'm going to touch up on it again here. Guys, I don't know what you guys are doing, but the main criticism people are giving this game, other than the EOMM matchmaking stuff, is the fact that there are too many DPS players. That you go into a game as a tank or a support, you pick your role, and then 3-4 people just insta-lock Iron Fist, Spider-Man, Magic, Psylocke, and you're left here thinking, all right, what the hell are we supposed to do? Because these people are not all killers that are gonna go pop off, right? So it's frustrating. And the issue is that DPS is already the most exciting role objectively, right? It's flashy, it's mobile, you can get kills with it, and there are various playstyles to it. You don't really have a lot of responsibility to your team other than just doing what you're supposed to do, which is get kills, right? You don't have to peel for people if you don't want to. You don't have to hold a front line if you don't want to. Obviously, you should be doing these things if you're a good DPS player. You understand your role, but you don't have to. You can go and free roam and essentially do whatever the hell you want, and if you mess up, who cares, right? These type of people already exist in droves, people who don't want that extra responsibility. To encourage these people to continue to do that by releasing DPS hero after DPS hero after DPS hero, it is frustrating. I know we got Angela, right? I know that she's a tank, but, you know, Daredevil coming out, it's nice that he's out, and I get why he's a DPS, it makes sense, but you guys really should have figured something out. Maybe make him a tank, maybe push his release until a little bit later after we've gotten some more of the roles filled out. There are just too many DPS. Even the last support that came out, which was Ultron, is essentially just a DPS support, right? Like his whole thing is to just put his healing drone on somebody and then get DPS output. If your Ultron isn't getting good DPS output, there's really no point in playing Ultron. You might as well play another support. And so that's really what's frustrating, is that you already have so many people that want to insta-lock DPS, and because there's more DPS in the game, or characters in the game, than there are the other two roles combined, these insta-lockers feel emboldened to continue to do that. We need to add diversity to our roles. All right, we need more tank heroes, and we need more support heroes, and we need more diversity in the playstyle. Like, honestly, I think support in Rivals is one of the most boring roles. I loved playing support in Overwatch too, right? I loved playing Ana. I loved playing Brigitte, right? I loved playing Zenyatta was okay. I loved playing Moira, right? Lucio, I didn't really love Lucio, but Lucio has a very committed player base because he's so unique in the way you play him. In Rivals, the supports really just feel uninspired in comparison. They feel unimpactful most of the time. And it doesn't mean you can't make impactful plays. It just feels, I don't know, to me, I feel kind of shortchanged. I like the tank play better than Overwatch 2, but we need more tanks. We need more diversity. I like that Angela came out as a flying tank. Awesome. We finally got a flying tank, but we need more stuff. Then they come out with Daredevil as a DPS. Like, come on, guys. Give us a support that can do something unique, you know? So way too many DPS heroes. That's the obvious one. All right, here's one that I think is also a problem for Rivals, and this is kind of unavoidable, I guess, and I think this exists for pretty much every game, but in Rivals it's especially apparent simply due to the sheer amount of players and the popularity of the Marvel IP that attracts so many different types of people. The degeneracy. There is an epidemic of degeneracy in gaming, especially in Rivals. I mean, you'll find these incels and these racists and these people that will throw slurs out for no reason in pretty much any game. You'll find them in COD, you'll find them in League of Legends or something especially. But in Rivals, which again is an IP that attracts so many different people, so casual Marvel enjoyers as well as like hardcore hero shooter people, it seems so much more apparent when these people are just throwing slurs around and you know, making the time a very unenjoyable time for everybody else. You know, like maybe like trash talking is one thing, but to just be a degenerate is a whole other thing. And there's too many of them in the game. The solution to that isn't as clear as, you know, as the DPS issue. They need to start getting a little more strict with slurs, I think, with language and behavior that goes too far. But honestly, it's hard. I don't know how something like that is tackled, but it is a problem. People don't want to go into this game because of assholes on the comms that will just blame you for anything, even if it's not your fault, and then throw something completely unnecessary out there and say something horrible. It's gross. You hear it all the time. And like, there are people like me who try to defend those people and try to say, hey, like, what are you doing? It's just a game. But it's not enough. We need some more safeguards in place to stop people from just being degenerates. It's a tough issue. Here's, I think, the crux of the issue, right? So we've got degenerates, we've got too many DPS heroes, but here's the crux of the issue. I don't want to stretch this video out too long. This is kind of a free-form conversation. The focus of the devs has been in the wrong place. All right, this slow decline is because the devs are treating this game too much like a circus and not enough like a storytelling vessel. So when the game first dropped and we got this new art style and these heroes that we recognized and some heroes that we didn't, like a lot of people didn't know who Baby Jeff was, who Jeff the Shark was, right? And discovered him through the game and fell in love with that character and fell in love with the game as a result, right? They fell in love with kind of the cutesy aspects of the game. They came out with modes like, like the duplicate roles where everyone plays like the same hero. They came out with like the big head mode, right? They came out with all of these cutesy modes, and it was okay for a time. But I think after a few months, the novelty of the cutesiness of like like that sort of trying to be overly cute, I think that novelty wore off, at least for me. Like, I started to roll my eyes when they came out with another event that was supposed to just be cute, or another skin that's just supposed to be cute, or a Gooner skin that's supposed to like show off like a character's ass and tits. And it's like, this stuff is fine. There is a base for it that actually enjoys it, and the grander base will enjoy it in a meme format, kind of as a joke. But not if that's all you're giving us, you guys. You have the Marvel IP, all right? The things you can do with that, beyond just, low effort comics and big paragraphs that kind of explain what the story of the season is and hidden menus that nobody really cares about anyway. Look to Overwatch 2's archive events, to their seasonal events, PvE. Marvel Rivals needs PvE. It can't just survive on this PvP stuff, and it can't just survive on cutesy events and cutesy skins. People will not stick around just for that. It gets boring, especially for a casual player base who maybe wanted to come in because they love Marvel and they love the cute aspect of it, but they may not be the most competitive people who always want to play PvP. We need PvE events. It'll be fun, too, to create a Marvel story with, a certain, like, 3, 4, 5 heroes, however many you have, right? Archives events had 4 heroes that you could choose from who, have some sort of story related to the season. This is, or maybe every other season, if it's too hard to do that, like, every season. This is the type of stuff they need to start focusing in on. We got the cutesy stuff. We got the novelty stuff. Now give us substance. I think that's what it really boils down to. Marvel Rivals is losing substance. People don't want to stick around for just kind of the fun stuff anymore. They want something that's going to make them feel something that's going to feel a little unique, something that's going to feel like they've gone through a narrative. And I think PvE events are the way to do that. Anyway, that was my little rant on what's going on with Marvel Rivals these days. I haven't been playing too much lately. I think like a lot of people, they've been losing some players, especially over the summer. They did. It's, again, not in the worst place, not in a bad place at all, to be honest. People are saying it's in a really bad place. It's not. The downward trend is a little concerning, but it's normal. That being said, they need to make changes. They need to fix their approach a little. They can't take this complete Eastern approach where they make everything sort of sex appealy or, cutesy appealy and expect that to work over years. It won't, especially with a Marvel IP. We want story, right? We want these characters to interact more. We want to see them accomplishing things beyond just taking a point against other players. I think that's where the secret lies. Anyway, thank you guys for joining in. If you got this far, please leave a like and a sub below if you like the content. Gonna try and upload more often, especially now that I'm moving to a new apartment, starting fresh. Anyway, catch you guys on the next one. Bye.